Greetings and salutations, or hey. I'm Zombie Johnny. Today, we are going to be very gentlemanly, and we are going to be taking a look at a graphic novel that is only fit for the most gentleman of the most gentlemen. This is Wormwood, Gentleman Corpse. Wormwood, Gentleman Corpse is written and illustrated by Ben Templesmith and published by IDW. Wormwood, Gentleman Corpse is the story of Wormwood, the Gentleman Corpse. No, but really it's about a trans-dimensional demigod worm who inhabits corpses and saves the world from paranormal, cryptozoological, and demonic threats. Wormwood begins with what you would guess any gentleman corpse would be doing. Sitting in a pub, drinking beer, watching strippers, and conversing with his self-made mechanical bodyguard, Mr. Pendulum. Run-of-the-mill stuff here, people. After downing his first sip of beautiful, full-bodied beer, someone in the strip club explodes into a fury of tentacles, only to have Wormwood suffer the same fate. Of course, Wormwood is unaffected because only his body takes the damage, in which case he can just be sewn back together. After Mr. Pendulum destroys the tentacled threat, the case to solve the tainted beer begins. While new cases of exploding tentacleness pop up, Wormwood hires another bodyguard to be on his team, and that's Phoebe Phoenix. Phoebe is perfectly suited for this job. She has some kick-ass powers and the perfect no-fucks-to-give attitude. Another person, or being, that is on the case is Trotsky, a ghost who is stuck in limbo who was formerly a detective and aids Wormwood from time to time. They set out to solve the case of the tentacles. And this is where our gentlemanly adventure begins. Wormwood's story is along the same vein of Mike Mignola's Hellboy. Like I previously stated, Wormwood solves cases involving paranormal, cryptozoological, and demonic threats. Mostly things that are covered in tentacles. Why? I'm not exactly sure, but it's the staple theme in the series. But this series also includes monsters, leprechauns, sirens, zombies, ghosts, and Elvis. That's right, Elvis. I have to go into detail about Elvis being in this comic. Elvis has a trans-dimensional jumper, and he is jumping from dimension to dimension, absorbing every alternative dimension's Elvis to become the king of kings, baby. The one absolute Elvis. This is why I love this comic. This to me is absolutely hilarious and absolutely ridiculous. There is another small story where Wormwood is paying off the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse with hookers, blow, video games, and pizza. They are holed up in a penthouse suite and they have to ride their steeds down to the front desk. Their steeds are segways. They ride their segways down to the front office to complain that they are out of funds. Wormwood adds more money to their visa to pay them off with more hookers and blow. This is the level of brilliance we're dealing with here, people. As I've stated many times throughout this review, and other reviews alike, this comic falls right into my favorite genre. If it has demons, monsters, is horror-themed, or anything cryptozoological, it's right up my alley. And in this case, it gets even more points for a corpse-wearing worm that smokes cigarettes and downs pints of beer just as fast as he can order them. I first discovered Ben Templesmith after watching the film 30 Days of Night, which, in my opinion, is still a great film. While browsing a comic book store, I noticed the graphic novels of 30 Days a Night and was surprised to see that it was a graphic novel first. Anyway, after discovering Ben Templesmith through the 30 Days at Night comics, I started looking into his other works and found out that he worked on Silent Hill. Well, the Silent Hill graphic novel, that is. Of course, I instantly fanboyed out and fell in love with his work. I'm still a huge fanboy of his work, much like Ashley Wood. I actually discovered both of them around the exact same time. Small sidebar, both Ben and Ashley are Australian and they have worked on projects together such as Silent Hill and 30 Days of Night. Ben Templesmith's style is a glorious combination of traditional and digital mediums. He will do initial sketches of his work and then scan them into his computer and add color and texture. There was so much originality in his work. For the longest time, I could pick out his work from a mile away. I was obsessed with it. For a while, when I was in design school, I was trying to replicate his style. The grittiness, the texture, pulling in real-world elements to give it this weird livelihood. He even uses photographs and then illustrates over them. It makes his style so unique that I still enjoy to this day. I had a little bit of a roundabout way of owning the series of Wormwood. When I first discovered it, they only had issues 2 and 3 at the comic book store I frequented. So, me being obsessed with Ben Templesmith's work, I bought them on the spot, and I read them over and over again, always keeping an eye out for Volume 1. The weird thing is that I didn't buy Volume 1 until this year. I kept kicking myself on not ordering it earlier instead of scouring comic book shelves for years looking for it. To be honest, I pretty much forgot about owning the series until I cracked open a bin that was holding all of my comic book and manga collection. As you could see in the intros of my past couple videos, that I finally got around to putting up my collection on a display shelf. After I did this, I noticed that I still didn't own Volume 1, so I ordered it immediately, and now it has filled my soul with that empty, gentlemanly void. Now, there is a hardcover version of Volume 1, and unfortunately that's not the one that I purchased, but I am seriously considering picking up that version. To be honest, I feel the most unfortunate thing about Wormwood is that it was discontinued after Volume 3. The other unfortunate thing is that because it is such a short series, there is hardly any information on it. Now, there are other volumes of Wormwood, but for some reason they aren't mentioned in the listings of the series, and they aren't even listed on Kindle. Unless you know the actual names of the volumes, which is The Christmas Special and Wormwood Goes to Washington, then you would have a hard time finding them unless you do a little digging. And just one other unfortunate thing about Wormwood is that sometimes the choice in font color renders it almost unreadable. Templesmith ended up choosing to give distinct colors to each character's text. Most of the text is printed on black speech bubbles, and a dark purple font doesn't read as well as a white or red font. This may be a tad nitpicky, but it's something that kind of bothered me while reading it. Overall, I find Wormwood Gentleman Corpse to be a great little series that was cut short way too early. If you like humor that is a little bit crude and corpses that talk and drink beer, then the series is right up your alley. I'm actually hoping that one day they might compile the graphic novels into a hardcover omnibus, and it would be beautiful. But a boy can dream. A boy can dream. Total pages 338. Total volumes 3. Total score 3. 1 point for each volume. Fun fact, the foreword in Volume 2 is done by Jeff Vandermeer, who is the author of the Southern Reach series, which contains the short novel Annihilation. It's a great read and I really enjoy it. It also happens to be a film starring Natalie Portman. I really enjoy the film as well. If you get a chance, I suggest you check both of them out.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're staying happy, healthy, and safe. I also hope that you're drinking plenty of beer. I will catch you in the next episode. Peace.